What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Pigskin Preview, Week 4 of playoffs, if I'm correct. We got two more teams in the semifinals fighting for that chance to go to the state championships. But before all that, Mr. Morales, I want to talk to you about something serious. What's your favorite part about Thanksgiving?
Favorite part about Thanksgiving is being with my daughter, obviously, because every year I go back and visit her in Vegas, so I'm going to do that again.
Yeah.
That's why we're taping this on Tuesday instead of Wednesday. So that's my favorite part. Food-wise, I turkey, obviously, pumpkin pie, the
Pumpkin pie.
traditional stuff.
Yeah, pumpkin pie is your favorite one for Thanksgiving?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. And happy Thanksgiving. This will come out on Thanksgiving on Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. We're extremely grateful for all the people that have been viewing every week, especially for everyone viewing all the highlight plays on our Instagram and everyone else supporting All Sports Tucson as well. We got to get into something crazy going on with the Lancers. You know, we talked about it multiple times. We kind of rid off the Lancers a little bit, making it seem like they weren't ready for the playoff run that they're in. But all of a sudden, they're knocking down the number one seed, going against Queen Creek Castile. What's the blueprint in beating them this upcoming week on Friday?
Defense. I mean, they only allowed Pinnacle 7 points, so.
And they came back from a loss from the 2 weeks before that as well.
Right, and they lost that game 28-21, so they really didn't let a lot of scoring then. Also, defense wins, and that's what's happening there with South Point with Noah Bonnier. Nobody really talks about him that much, but he's a senior defensive tackle, 290 pounds, 6 foot. He really dictates a lot of what South Point's front seven does, with Brian Melton behind him, the linebacker. Valencia, I think, is another one there. But their defensive front is so good that it really shuts down a lot of people in the middle. They held Marana in check, really, that first game, right? I mean, they beat Marana. I think from then they've had some issues on offense with their quarterback situation. I think that kind of unsettled things, but Race Alvarez has come on, so he's doing a good job.
Yeah, he's leading them in this playoff run 100%. In your opinion, are they peaking at the right time? And do they have a great chance holding up that trophy in 2 weeks?
Trophy, I'm not sure, but I think they have a good chance of beating Castile. Castile's 7-5, so same record as Cell Point. And by now, Cell Point's used to traveling to Phoenix. This will be their 7th time they've driven up to Phoenix this year, which is crazy to me. 3rd time in Queen Creek that they're going to have a game. So I think they're not being on the road won't affect them.
Yeah, they'll be ready to go. And that's the air horn to move on to the next segment. We'll go into Desert View Jaguars. They just got done with the most wins in program history. They had a great season, but it ended a little short. What are some of the lessons that they'll take into the next year coming up?
Just their youth. I mean, Bonilla's told me afterward that I guess he didn't prepare them well enough because it was their first playoff, but he did a great job. Their staff was amazing. I think it's just their youth. It was a good experience to go that far and to experience it, and now they know more what to expect in the playoffs. That you can't have too many mistakes. They did make too many mistakes there in that game. They turned the ball over near the goal line. You can't do that. So I think they learned a lot. And Jay Lee became even more a leader, if that's possible, the way he played. 4 touchdowns and interception, just incredible. 170 yards rushing, 50-some yards receiving. He's just amazing.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because that's the next question I had for you. You know, when the lights shine the brightest, the biggest stars come out, and that's exactly what he did. 4 touchdowns and interception. How bright is his future, and how bright is the Desert View future with a player like that for the next 2 years?
Like I said that before, it's not only his talent, it's his persona. Like they rally around him. He's like a magnet. They're there for him. He's a born leader, and I think that shows on the way his teammates react to him. And then he has the talent to back that up, and the will to win. I mean, you saw the way he played on Friday. He didn't want to lose that game.
No, he was doing everything he could to make sure he didn't lose that game.
Yep.
Running through every single linebacker to get in those 4 touchdowns.
Right.
We'll go into another team that had an early exit, but there was some history made. Colton Myers threw for 391 yards and 2 touchdowns, which put him over the record for the all-time passing yards leader in Southern Arizona. Talk a little bit about his career so far and the performance he had.
Well, he's the only one from Southern Arizona who's ever eclipsed 9,000 yards. So, and think about it, he's only been full-time varsity 2 years. So that kind of shows what kind of an arm he has. You can't throw for that many yards and not have accuracy and quick decisions, and have a good football IQ. So he's just amazing. I think he's going to do really well in the next level. Um, and he's got some great receivers the last couple of years, right, with the Roebucks.
Yeah.
So he utilizes them. The greatest way Jackson Sharp was great this year. So he utilizes his weapons to the fullest, and that's what you want in a quarterback.
Yeah, this is second kind of earlier than expected loss in the playoffs with Miranda Tigers. After these 2 seasons, where are their holes and what do they need to get in the oncoming year to have even a further run next year?
Well, they do lose quite a bit on defense, especially in the line. With Leon Elder graduating, I think that's going to be a huge hole that they have to fill. They do have Jeffrey Smith back. They do have Sean Roebuck back. I understand that Sean Roebuck is not going to be the quarterback. There was talk about it, last year even, that he might be the quarterback after Meyer graduates. But I've heard that he's not going to be the quarterback. They have a guy waiting in the wings named Trent Hicks. So keep your eye out for that guy. So I think but they're going to be good every year. Stewart.
Yeah. Trent's is ready to pick up that mantle from Colton Myers. I'm excited to see what they can do next year. Mike and Mountain, they had you heard me talking to Bobby before the show. Their ranking really doesn't represent how well they've been playing. Talk a little bit about their playoff performance so far, because they've been dominating on offense and defense as they go into Yuma trying to play for another state championship appearance.
Well, my player to watch was Riley Carson. He had over 150 yards receiving, so I'll take another check mark on that one.
You're on fire with that all year, man.
So he came through big. We talked about he had to make big plays, and he did. Jaden Christ, he's doing what Jaden Thorson did last year, have his best games when they need it the most. And he's completing now like 60+% of his passes. He's passed for over 300 yards the last 2 weeks in the playoff games. So he had some struggles during the year, but he came on. The same thing with Thorson. He had a mediocre regular season last year. He came on strong. So it's like the same blueprint. Their defense is really good with Broden Schmidt, who visited the U of A on Saturday. So I'm glad the U of A's showing some interest in him, because he is a D1 talent, tackling machine, physical force. I think they just have all the pieces. They have Brent Darling as their defense coordinator. He's one of the best coordinators in the whole state. He's won awards to that effect. So I think they have it coming on strong, and I think they're going to beat Gila Ridge on Friday.
Right before we run out of time for this segment, they've made a bunch of adjustments from those 2 losses they've had during the year. Mm-hmm. What adjustments have you seen from this team?
Well, they played ALS West Foothills. They lost by a touchdown, even though they had 7 turnovers. So, and that was on the road. Then they coming back and played Sunnyside. I think Sunnyside obviously played their best game, but after that, the defense has really taken over, and Chris has gotten better and better.
Yeah, no, I saw him against the Warrior, man. That defense was not letting anyone score. They were playing like they were playing at the top of their game for that game, and it's continued into the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go to Push Ridge. Kind of unsuspected. I really thought they were gonna beat Benjamin Franklin again this year in the semifinals. How do you evaluate their season finishing 10-3?
They reload every year. They lose key players, and they're just as good, if not better, than the year before. And I think they're going to be the same way next year, because Race Pinio comes back, and the other quarterback that played a lot during the beginning of the year. They had a 2-quarterback system. He's coming back, so I think they're going to be strong as far as that goes. They do lose some guys on defense too, which will be hard to overcome. But it seems like they just reload with guys. Like they do have a really good off-season workout regimen there with Kent Middleton. It's not just talk. They do grind over there, and I think that helps them a lot.
Yeah. Do you think they'll be one of the top contenders again in 3A?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we can always count on Push Ridge and Sabino to always be factors every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which player stood out the most to you this year? If you had to put an MVP for Push Ridge Lions, who would it have been this year?
Probably the way Pinio and then Dominic Painter. I would say that connection really came on strong. Painter had some of the best numbers in the state as a receiver, and they needed that big play capability. I think those guys really, that connection really worked, Dominic Painter just had some tremendous numbers, so I would say him.
All right, next one we'll go on to the TV Hawks. They had one of the most shocking seasons of the year, knocking down the number 1 seed but falling short in the semifinals. Where does this rank all time in program history for seasons?
Oh, number 1. They've never been to the semifinals. They won 11 games. They've never done that before. Jeff Bull now, his way of building the program has worked, where he started a JV program 2 years ago, or it might have been last year, and
So before that, they didn't have a JV.
didn't have a JV program, and this is their 19th year. So for the first 17 years, they didn't have a JV program, and he instituted, and I think that gets the players ready, gets more people involved with football, and I think that's really helped in the last couple of years. They did lose to St. John's. And St. John's, from what I've been told, I talked to some of the Tanque Verde coaches, is their talent level was higher than what they saw all year. So that was a really good team they faced, and they still were there in the fourth quarter. So I think Tanque Verde has some. They lose a lot of seniors. They lose Cooper Payne. They lose Rocco Haggard. They lose Sebastian Blakeman. They lose a lot of their big time players. But again, Tanque Verde does the same thing as Pushbridge. They reload, it seems like, even though they lose some of their top guys.
So there will be contenders next year again, kind of following the same footsteps.
I don't see why they couldn't. I mean, they do just keep on winning. Even on their down years, they have 6-7 wins. So
yeah, Tanque Verde had multiple players step up during the postseason. Who stood out the most to you?
With Tanque Verde, Cooper Payne.
Cooper Payne. Tell us about.
He's like Tanque Verde's Jaylee Abraham, because he does everything right. He plays on defense. He's a big time running back. Makes big defensive plays. So
yeah. Now we will get into the state champion South Point Lancers for flag football. How much of an impact does South Point winning the flag football state tournament? How much of an impact does that make for flag football in Southern Arizona?
I think it helps. I think obviously winning the first year. We know Miranda's always been good, but Miranda's gone to like the quarterfinals, semifinals, but they haven't really been able to take that extra step, and that's because 6A has some really, really good teams, Hamilton and so forth. So I think for South Point in the first year, though, to go all the way and win it means a lot. I think it can make some more interest in flag football around here. Obviously at South Point, I think they said, my brother's story said that they had 60 people try out for the team. So I think the interest is there. They have one of the best quarterbacks, not only in the state, but in the nation, and she's only a freshman, Isla Collins. She's a Team USA quarterback. She's played at the USA level, even in her younger years, as far as 7-on-7. So, and then Garcia Moranis, he's the same thing as a freshman. So I think things are going to be getting better and better citywide because of the interest and the talent level in some of these schools. And competitive-wise, it'll make it better. Yeah,
and they dominate 17-0 against Eastmark. Yeah. Anytime you play a Phoenix school and you do that, oh my goodness, it's a party in Southern Arizona when you can say you knock down a Phoenix school like that.
Yeah, and people go watch a flag football game. You'll love it. It's quick. It's not a lot of penalties. The game will end in like an hour and a half. It's some exciting plays. The girls are like really into it, so it's fun to go watch a game.
All right, guys, for the next segment of the show, we'll get some rapid-fire questions in about the 2025 football season in Southern Arizona. Mr. Morales, what was your top game of the year?
Top game of the year? Wow.
Well, and it could be I'll give you two of them because I have two already. Both of them. You can look at the Yuma Catholic game, South Point and Miranda game. But in your opinion, what were the two craziest games you watched all year?
That I watched all year. I watched that crazy Cienega Buena game, the first game where it came down to the last yard with the last play, where Buena made the tackle of Julian Hanley right at the 1 yard line. That was crazy. That was a crazy start to the year. Let's see. A lot of the other games weren't too close that I saw anyway. So just some dominating performances. Jaylee Abraham, Colton Meyer, some really strong individual performances stick out to me.
Yeah. And then that's a great way to go into the next part. Which was the best single game performance you saw all year?
Let's see. I got to think of that one. I think probably the kid from Push Ridge who had 4 interceptions, Josiah Jones. He had
Yeah.
4 interceptions, 3 in 1 quarter, for a pick six. I don't think I know I've never seen that. And I probably will never see that again, where somebody has 4 interceptions in a game, 3 in 1 quarter, definitely.
Yeah. You know, moving on to the next question. We've had so many coaches turn around programs this year. You can look at Pueblo, TV, Desert View. In your opinion, which coach has had the most impressive turnaround this year?
Bonillas. They went 3-7 last year, and then they went 11-0 before losing. So I think that's the biggest turnaround there. Trying to think of other turnarounds. You know, Tanca Verde, they didn't make the playoffs last year, and look what they did. They won 11 games, went to the semifinals for the first time. So that's a huge coaching performance by Jeff Bull now. I know I'm probably missing somebody. I'm going to hear about it, but do you have any other ideas in those
Best
guys?
turn, Sly Lewis.
Sly Lewis, yes, because he was trying to get that. He won 2 games last year, right?
Yeah, only 2 games. One
Yeah.
of them being Troy, and can't remember which the other one was, but I think they finished 7-3. Correct?
7-3. They didn't make the playoffs because of PowerPoints. They came a 1/10 of a point though from making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little things count.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now moving on to these 2 semifinals teams. You know, in your opinion, which is more of a surprise of them being in the semifinals? Because you know we saw both teams at some point they didn't look as hot as they are right now. In your opinion, which is the biggest surprise of these 2 teams being in the semifinals?
I think it would have to be South Point. Although Micah Mountain lost 28 seniors and they lost their head coach from last year.
Yeah.
Well, although Jay Campos, I mean, this is going to be his 6th semifinals appearance because he had 5 at Sabino. That's incredible, and he went 4-1 in those games. Didn't win a championship out of those 4. They went to the championship game, lost all of them. But I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. But I think South Point, just the way they've been able to persevere, they lost some tough games against some tough opponents, and some at home too. That they bound for them to be this far, nobody thought that.
Yeah, has there ever been a team going into the playoffs 5-5 and winning the state championships?
Yes, I think it was not too long ago, right? Was it Desert Edge that did that?
Desert.
Yeah, they went into the playoffs with a losing record, and they end up winning it because of the transfer were eligible.
Yeah.
After the middle of the season, I think it might have been Desert Edge, if I'm not mistaken. They had a losing record midway through the season, and they end up winning the state championship, even though they're like 4-6 or 5-5 at the beginning of this playoffs.
Well, South Point has a chance. I think it would be their first. It would be the first 6 state championships in Southern Arizona if they win it, right?
Yeah, and if they beat number 1, so did Tanca Verde a couple weeks ago, and they ended up losing in the semifinals. But I think they have that defense again is so strong. I think they can do it because of their defense. And then Race Alvarez, he's put out some good numbers the last 3 or 4 weeks. So he's balancing that team out by playing pretty well.
Yeah.
RJ Gorey is a great receiver. David Rushing. So they have some talent on that side of the ball.
Yeah, they're definitely getting hot at the right time, and hopefully they continue on because we're still looking. You know, we talked about getting that 5A state championships. Doesn't look great anymore, but now we have a chance to win the 6A, which is a bigger one. So it would be good for Southern Arizona if they could do that. Now, speaking about the Battle of the Desert, you know, one that we've talked about a little bit on our Instagram. What's your prediction for the ASU versus U of A game this Friday?
Boy, I think Arizona is such on a roll, and their defense has really come to the forefront. And Fafita's Fafita. He's playing as well as he's played even when he was a sophomore or 2 years ago when he was a freshman. I think he's playing just as well because he only has 5 interceptions this year. I think it's going to be Arizona, but the key for Arizona, like I told you earlier, is they have to get out to a good lead early, because if they let ASU take like a 14-0 lead, ASU can run, and I think that's where Arizona is most susceptible, is the defense against the run.
Yeah.
But if they fall behind and ASU has to pass, then they force Jeff Sims to pass, and he's only completing about 50% of his passes, and he's got a tendency to make some interceptions. So I think they have to force Jeff Sims to beat them, and then Arizona will pull it out.
Yeah, looks like a good day for Southern. Hopefully, it's a great day for Southern Arizona, Phoenix, South Point, and U of A
Yeah.
winning. Other than that, Mr. Morales, it's the time that we all love on the show. Who's your pick for Player of the Week?
Player of the week.
And you've been on a
Let's see.
roll lately too. So and
Oh,
it's
that's
only,
good. Well, I have to pick between Micah and South Point, right?
yeah. So it should be a little bit easier, only being two teams.
Well, I can't pick Noah Bonnier because he was the Player of the Week for one of the TV stations that was televising the game last week. So I'm not gonna piggyback off that. But I will say, let me say R.J. Gorey.
RJ, go. Oh, that's a big one. We haven't.
I'm gonna say him
Yeah,
because I mean, they needed big plays. They just like Riley Carson last week had to make some big special or skill level position plays. R.J. Gorey has to do that this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go with you with that. I mean, RJ Gore, I've heard his story. I've had him on my podcast before, so he's my pick too. He hasn't had as great a season I think he would want him. So, a great player shine when the lights are the brightest. So I think he can definitely get it done.
And I think U of A's interested in him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a big thing. I like the fact that Arizona's recruiting or at least paying attention to the local prospects now with Broden Schmidt getting a visit during the game. Jaylee Abraham did that earlier this year.
Yeah.
So R.J. Gorey. So hopefully that's more
Hey,
of a
keep
thing.
him in Southern Arizona. Keep him in Tucson.
Or at least show interest.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not get them there, but and they might go somewhere else or what have you. But show interest.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Morales. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I just think that, like I said last week about Southern Arizona football, it was tough to see 5 teams lose last week, but for them to get to the quarterfinal and semifinal round says a lot. And then, Micah Mountain, the way they've been able to be successful again this year after losing 28 seniors, that's crazy to me, and it shows how good of a coach Jay Campos is. So I mean, Coach of the Year. If you had to pick, I'm going to throw it back at you. If you had to pick Coach of the Year, who would you pick?
Coach of the Year?
I mean, you have so many possibilities with so many teams that have done so well.
You know what? This might be a weird one. People might say I'm still going with Coach Sly Lewis, and it's just because I've seen what he's done with that community. And my dad was a principal there before. I saw what it looks like when you have good leadership. Not saying they don't have good leadership right now, but Sly Lewis brings a different aspect into those young folks, and seeing how he treats them, what the expectation is. He's not only making them great football players, but he's making them great human beings. So for that, he's my Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I talked to him the other day at the basketball tournament at Sunnyside, and you could tell why he's so good because he's so easy to relate to, so easy to talk to. If you're a young player, you can really, relate to him well. But I think Bonias for me, because he 11-0, they lost to a good team in the quarterfinals, and he's been able to he's this older guy letting this young wave of talent and young coaches. You see the age of his coaches.
Yeah,
he has a few coaches that are up there. But a lot of them are the younger types that have been with these kids through the youth football. I think for him to adapt like that says a lot about him as a person, as a coach, that he's not stuck in his ways, that he's going to allow these younger minds to help him out. And he sees that these young players feed off these younger coaches. So he kind of took a step back and realized the situation, and he's adapted pretty well.
That's what great coaches do. They don't it's not my way or the highway.
Right.
You just got to keep adapting because the game's always change. You can look at baseball. The way we teach how to hit a baseball is so much different than the way you would teach it 10 years ago. And that's the same way with football.
Right.
You got to change. You got to change the way you coach to get better. Because if you just stay here in the middle, you're never going to improve while everyone else is improving.
And he hasn't lost his fire. Trust me. We heard him on the sidelines on Friday. He hasn't lost that aggressive nature about him. So I think, but these younger coaches balance it out. Yeah. They're like a sounding board for the players, and you need that. You need that in any program. You need the coach to kind of be separate a little bit, and you have the assistant coaches who are like the people who talk more with the players. Yeah. So I think Desert has that going, and they're going to have at least the next 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, either way, like how we keep saying it, Southern Arizona football is on another level right now. Great coaches, great players, and it's looking positive for years coming.
Right. It's amazing. And I did talk to the Canyon View coach after the game on Friday. He said a lot of good things about Desert View. Yeah. When he didn't have to. I mean, he thinks that Jaylee Abraham could be the top running back in the state by the time he's a senior. He thinks Desert View is going to be a factor the next 2 years, which they will be if all these guys stay at Desert View, because that's another element that's still out there. The transfers in high school.
No, don't transfer in high school. Stay in the old Pueblo. Stay in Southern Arizona.
Yeah, especially if you're on a good team like this. Keep the good thing going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's going to help them, like you talked about it before, is the idea that they've grown up together.
Yeah.
So you don't want to leave your brothers hanging, and hopefully they all stay in Southern Arizona and hopefully raise that title up for not just Southern Arizona, for South Tucson too.
Play for the Seminoles and the Rams and just keep that brotherhood going.
Yeah. Stay in Tucson, guys, while everyone else is enjoying their food. I just want to, again, wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you guys for all the love and support. Remember to subscribe for All Sports Tucson and the Just Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Mr. Morales, any last thoughts before we get out of here real quick?
No, I hope everybody has a nice Thanksgiving, and we're turning the page pretty soon to the winter sports, wrestling and basketball, soccer. So it's going to be exciting. Sunnyside can go after their 39th state championship.
Oh, shoot.
So we talked about we might have a show over there, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and then let's throw in Saurita for their fight.
Saurita, another one.
Yep, so, and we'll get into all that very soon. Winter sports are coming up. Thank you guys for all the love and support. We'll see you on the next one. Have a apple pie for me. Later, guys.